Hi guys, welcome to our daily encounter. In Job chapter 32, we have the narrator show up again. And we haven't seen or heard from the narrator since the second chapter of Job. And most of Job from that point on has been really just a discussion that has taken place between Job and his friends. Well, the narrator introduces a new character in chapter 32 by the name of Elihu. And this Elihu was a young person who had been standing by and listening to this discussion take place. He didn't feel worthy to speak up, so he had kept silent, but his anger got the best of him, and so he begins to speak. He's angry because Job justified himself, and he's also angry because Job's friends weren't able to give Job an adequate answer. And so Elihu here is seen as the great interrupter of the story of Job. The words of Job in chapter 31. And so as you're reading through the book of Job, you might think, okay, well, finally we're going to get to the resolution for this problem that has been introduced to us about the righteous sufferer. But then Elihu steps in and he speaks all the way through chapter 37 and gives this lengthy discourse in response to this discussion between Job and his friends. But he's very angry, and he seems threatened by the idea that God would actually allow a righteous person to suffer. And he's very adamant of the fact that God would never do anything like that, that God would not act unjustly or do anything what he would consider wicked. In chapter 34, he says in verse 10, "Therefore listen to me, you men of understanding. Far be it from God to do wickedness, and from the Almighty to do wrong. For he pays a man according to his work, and makes him find it according to his way." So Elihu wants to hold on to this retributive justice that we talked about in the early devotion, where God repays a person based on their actions. So a righteous person is blessed and a wicked person is cursed. And Elihu is threatened by what he had heard so far. And as we're reading through the book of Job, perhaps Elihu is for us the embodiment of the reader of the book of Job. In other words, we too have been like Elihu. We've been kind of passive listeners to this discussion going on between Job and his friends. And each of us might respond differently as we've listened to this discourse that has taken place. Maybe the reader of Job up to this point has also become very indignant or angered or troubled by the discussion that has taken place. Maybe as we've read through the book of Job, maybe we've become uncomfortable at some of the statement Job makes towards God, that God has wronged him in some way. Or maybe we've been troubled by Job holding on so fast to the fact that he was righteous. Maybe we're uncomfortable with retributive justice being threatened because it takes away control from us, control of our lives. As long as we believe that God always blesses people who do what is right and always curse people who do what is wrong, then we feel in control because all we got to do is do what is right. And we don't have to worry about tragedy or suffering or sickness or illness, because God will always protect us from those things because we're living a righteous life. And maybe this discussion has angered us and we are like Elihu and we want to step in and assert our own beliefs and our own view of what's going on. And so as we're doing our readings today, and as we enter into this speech of Elihu, maybe you'll give us opportunity too to reflect on how this has affected our belief in God and our belief in life, how this has affected us and our relationship with the Lord, and be able to reflect on those things and to be able to come to the point, hopefully, to where we say, you know what, it's in God's hands, and that we will come to a point where we just surrender to the Lord and recognize the fact that we don't always have all the answers, and maybe we don't always need the answers. In Philippians chapter 4, it says that God can supply us with a peace that surpasses understanding. We don't always need understanding. We might always need God's peace, but we don't always need understanding to get through the trials of this life. so long as we're ready to surrender to the sovereignty of God, the wisdom of God, the power of God, and the love of God in our lives. So let's allow our reading today to give us pause and to reflect on where we've gone so far in the book of Job and how that has affected us in our faith and in our heart, in our minds, and to be able to kind of figure out how to work that out in our lives as we relate to God and as we relate to life in general. So with that, guys, I do thank you for watching the video today. Hope you guys have a great day. Love you guys. God bless.